Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, or the podcast, Triad podcast, where we try not to mess things up. And today we're going to talk about the JFK files that were released. And Gary, how are you?
I am all right, sir. It's been a wild week, but I'm here. How are you?
I'm all right. A little tired, but ready to look these files over and see what we got.
All right. Yes. Well, so to start us off, there were supposed to be about 80,000 JFK files released this week. We've gotten 30 of them. So apparently we're still bickering with the FBI somewhat, but 30,000 is still quite a bit. And
Wait. 30,000, but we only got 30?
No, 80,000, but we only
80,000.
got 30. So there's still 50,000 documents to go.
Okay.
It's quite nuts. But
Are we going over all 30,000 tonight?
Absolutely not. So
Okay.
What I was saying at the beginning of the show, though, I will reiterate. This is a perfect example of why empiricism is crap. Because before the files were released, everybody had their opinion about what happened. After the files were released, everybody still has the same opinion. So these new data points have not really changed everybody's basic belief about what went on. So,
Jen said, sorry about that, had to leave, missed what just happened.
Oh, it's no problem. We're about to talk about the JFK files, so we'll see how that goes. So, but let me start off by saying what we've learned so far that is a little bit different. There was a dude, I believe his name was Gary Underhill. He said that there was a clique in the CIA trying to take over the government, and he was later killed. And if I recall Benny Johnson's account of what happened correctly, he was shot in the back of the head 12 times. And the judge ruled it a suicide. Sounds familiar. But
Who was shot in the back of the head?
This guy, I think his name was Gary Underhill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So apparently Gary Underhill was had said he'd uncovered a clique in the CIA that was overthrowing the government, more or less. And he was, unalived, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah, the judge declared it not murder, which is basically the point.
So how does this Gary guy tie into JFK?
Well, he's saying that this clique in the CIA is the one that planned to kill JFK. That's the gist.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So,
Mr. Baggins?
So Jen says, I think Hillary took out his son, though. Might have, yeah.
Hillary has taken out many sons.
Allegedly. Jessica Lambert says, Mr. Baggins? No, Underhill. I know, I thought the same thing, but I wasn't going to comment on that because I thought it would have been disrespectful, Jess. So, yeah, thanks for that. So, anyway.
Wait, isn't Underhill in your book?
Underhill? No, I don't have a character named Underhill in my book or books.
I'm confusing myself now.
So, anyway. Let's see, what else? Well,
sorry, I squirreled you.
Yeah, I'm like getting all thrown off. I got to remember. I'm trying to remember everything that happened today before we actually get into it. So that was the first thing, was Gary Underhill was unalived. And then the next thing was... why don't you read Jen's comments really quick while I try to remember
I'm not sure I
where I'm
want
at.
to.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's just read here. Mr. Baggins joke. JLB wanted to bang the wife. LBJ, that is. Jessica Lambert says geek alert. Did you hear he wanted to spank her? LMFAO. It was Frodo's pseudonym. I know who Underhill was, Jessica. Yes, I know.
Don't.
And then LMFAO. So, okay. Gary Underhill. Not Frodo Baggins. Anyway. So, So that happened. And then there was a memo. Somebody did some research on the CIA. It was part of JFK's staff. He was like, CIA's out of control. They're basically a shadow government unto themselves. They need to be destroyed. So JFK's people were telling him he needs to get rid of the CIA. The CIA's basically gone rogue. So that we didn't have that memo before. And so that happened. And then apparently Lee Harvey Oswald was not a weird kind of loner guy on the periphery that was just kind of a loser that wanted to get fame. You know the story about the typical lone gunman story. He was a communist wannabe, he was a CIA wannabe, blah 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 blah. No, he was a CIA agent. He was actually somebody who worked for the CIA in an official capacity.
I thought that one was not a secret.
Well, the account that I remember was that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone gunman. He was somebody who was just kind of like a nerd who wanted to kill a president so he could be cool or some stupid thing. They probably rolled that back when they figured out nobody bought it. But now we've got confirmation that he actually officially worked for the CIA, which I don't believe we knew before. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think we knew that before. What happened is he got pulled out of the army in Japan, and they shipped him to Russia, and they shipped him to Cuba. Now, if you mix that with Roger Stone's account of what LBJ was saying at the time, LBJ says it's, somebody asks who could have done this to the president, and Lyndon Johnson apparently was like, communists, Russian communists, son. Well, nobody caught Oswald yet, so how did LBJ know? Well, it's because he knew the narrative they were going to set up, with Lee Harvey Oswald. So basically what they were doing is they were shipping Oswald to Russia and Cuba to make it look like he was a communist, but they were telling Oswald, hey, you're one of our guys now, and we've got a special job for you. You're going to kill the president for us. So they were going to throw away this guy, basically. But he worked for them, and he thought he was on their team.
Do you think they used any, brainwashing tactics?
From what I understand about this, I don't think they would have had to. If he just thought he was one of the boys, and he was, working for the government, and he thought he was, part of the team, then yeah, he wouldn't have suspected of being a patsy. But here's what's interesting. So, before I get into that, because now we're getting into more speculative stuff, let's see, is there anything else that... There was a few other things that were learned. Basically, the CIA is a bunch of perverts. They've been using sex operations since the 50s, which isn't surprising.
No, that's not surprising at all.
They're weirdos. So
they make money somehow.
Yeah. The only thing that I really got irritated on this week was everybody was really trying to make a big deal about Mossad. I think people were trying to make the connection that Mossad had some part to play in killing JFK, but
who's Mossad?
This would be Israel's CIA, basically.
Oh, okay.
And so, basically, Israel wanted a nuclear weapon. JFK didn't want to give it to him, and so Mossad was supposedly mad about that. And they were like, well, see, this must have been the motivation for Israel being involved in killing JFK. And I'm like, that can't possibly be the case, because these records apparently also indicate that the CIA helped smuggle uranium to Israel. So Israel got what it wanted. So why would they kill the president after they got what they wanted? So that doesn't make any sense. So I think people were kind of trying to reach and say Israel had something to do with it.
Well, there's some people that say that even today, Israel had something to do with it.
Yeah, I know.
On everything.
I know, yeah. And I'm going to say it's anti-Semitism more than actually any sort of legitimate concern about Israel. I mean, it kind of bugs me because I'm like, I don't want to be I don't want people hating me because of what the CIA does. I don't agree with the CIA. I don't like what the CIA does. So why would I go blame the Jewish people for the stupidity of Mossad?
Yeah.
I just kind of, but they try to say Mossad bad, therefore Israel bad. And I'm like, well, you follow that logic through. I mean, CIA bad, therefore America bad. I mean, Be
Yeah.
consistent. So, all right, let's see. We can catch up on chats here.
Jen.
How about you read them really quick? Because I need to relight my cigar.
Let's see. Okay, no proto. Anyway, people use the information to confirm their previous biases. I think
I
life
agree with
knew it
that.
was going to go down. Come on, that phone call is crazy with her and LBJ. Yep, Cuba, they met up. Yep, the traffickers are being closed down and they're going to go crazy.
I hope
When you
so.
catch a when you catch a bunch of businessmen in sexual situations, blackmail works its wonders.
Yep. Yep.
Very, very well said.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I've just personally learned don't trust any three-letter organizations.
Let me ask a question just to pause it to you. I'm starting to wonder, do we even need these kinds of espionage type organizations at all? Do we really need an FBI? Do we really need a CIA? Is it so blasted important that we turn Hollywood like Israeli actresses into prostitutes and blackmail kings with them? Like, is that
Right.
really necessary? Do we really need to do that?
Well, I mean, they started out with good intentions, you know,
I
and
don't know
then they
that,
just
but
they.
I hope.
Well, that's why I did this.
Yeah,
But
good intentions. There we go.
but it's they start out saying, yeah, we'll dismantle it after we get done with what we good intentions, and then they just keep it going. So
Jen says nope, and assuming the question with the needing the agencies. And then she says, I'm with you on that one. WEF, WHO, CCP, or B. Yep. We got way too many acronyms. It's getting hard to follow. So, no,
you
but
can
I'm
remind him.
I'm ready to get rid of these guys. Like, I don't think they're necessary.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming incredibly apparent. But okay, so we've done that. I wanted to just so people can find them on their own before we move on, because I think I've covered everything that I can recall off the top of my head as to what was found this week. And so it wasn't a nothing burger. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like the Epstein files where you got a trapper keeper with like nothing. Like we did learn stuff, and to be fair, they were always going to, if there's like, it's not like you're going to have a silver bullet or, the smoking gun for whatever happened. They're going to destroy anything too definitive, but they do want to keep all this stuff. I don't know why. They're pack rats, I guess. So but I think they were scared to let this stuff out because it gives us a sense of their MOP, like their method of operation.
Yeah.
It does confirm that these guys are basically a blackmail racket. They put people in suggestive situations and they blackmail them, and Epstein is not new, and we shouldn't be conducting our business that way. So let's see. Jen says, "LOL, right? They have no good intentions." Sadly, I agree. And then Jessica Lambert says, Sun Tzu states espionage is an important part of a successful military, right? Sun Tzu does say that, but I would add the caveat that this is during war. And
Who's Sun Tzu?
Sun Tzu wrote the book, The Art of War. So he
Oh.
was from the warring states in ancient China, the 5 warring states, I believe. Anyway, so he wrote a book about combat, and he does talk about espionage being an important part of, military campaigns. And so, yeah, you need to keep an eye on what your enemies are doing. You don't need to turn, Israeli starlets into prostitutes to blackmail people. Like, that's not necessarily espionage. Espionage basically means watch people, keep an eye on them, gather data. It doesn't mean put people in suggestive situations and then say, do this or we're going to show these naked pictures of you. Like
Right.
that's to me, that's not really the same thing. And I don't think you can justify the moral necessity for that kind of behavior. It's like, if that's what it takes to win a war, is it really worth winning? That would be
Well, why
mine.
even start the war in the beginning?
Yeah, and it's also predicated on the idea that in order for me to win, you have to lose. It's like we have to like set people up to fail from the outset. We got to get advantage. We got to take advantage of the kings before they do anything bad. We got to blackmail government officials before these people can actually, have industry or advance. Like it's predicated
Or
on
be
the idea of
successful.
sabotaging everyone so we can be number one. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think we have to do things that way.
And then then number 2 and 3 becomes completely obsolete.
Yeah, because everybody's basically a vassal state to you because you've got naked pictures of everybody. But anyway, Jessica says, right, and then Jen says, be where they ain't.
Beware who ain't.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Jen, you can clarify that for us here in a minute. You choose.
I'll be in the spiritual realm where nobody ain't.
Well, hopefully I can just keep hiding in Missouri. But anyway,
Yeah, that's a good spot.
let's see. Okay. Next, let's go and actually show the website where you can find the records because I don't think I've seen anybody actually do that. And if you want to look at them for yourself, yeah.
Gov.net.
Yeah, so Jen says, she's clarifying, she says the enemy. So be where the enemy isn't. I agree. Like, that was actually when I was taking karate lessons. Not karate. They'd kill me for saying it. Martial arts. When they were talking about when it comes to a punch, what might the guy say? He'd say, no be there. No be there. Just don't be in the way of the punch. That was his thing. Jessica Lambert asks, how would you use espionage responsibly? Don't use Hollywood actresses for sex. Like espionage, you have your spies, you watch people, you listen, you gather information, you gather data. You don't need to blackmail people and trap them in bad behavior so you can gain leverage. That's not really espionage. Espionage is knowing where your enemy is going to be, knowing what their resources are. Like it's collecting info and having more info on the other guy. Like, that you can use in a war potentially. You don't need to be entrapping people in situations to make that happen. You just need to have your regular spies planted in the right positions. Because people will talk on their own. You don't need to set people up like that. I just think it's a bridge too far. Maybe that's naive, but I don't think you need to do that. So, seems unnecessary to me.
It's naive.
Well, I think we've gotten so cynical that it's like we require doing bad. Like we assume that we have to be just as bad as the bad guys to win.
Yeah. Or be worse than the bad guys.
Yeah, or be worse than the bad guys. We gotta drop to the bottom of the barrel faster than the other guy to win a war, and I just don't agree with that philosophy. So
Jen says, and on the naked picture thing, now it just depends on who's naked and who that person is with.
Right, because if it's a kid, then you can throw them in jail, which is another thing that they're doing. But it's under it's awful. It's a mess. So anyway, off that horrible subject brought up. So let's see. So this is, you can go to, nationalarchives.gov. Anna Polina Luna has a link to this on her Twitter account. And we pulled up, so here's the PDFs that they've got out so far. It says here only 2,000 entries. There's supposed to be 30,000 apparently, but
we should probably put this link in the live so people don't have to go searching.
Can we do that?
Do
you want
in
me
the
to
description?
copy and
I
paste
think
the link in the chat?
I think you can put it in the description for sure.
Okay, let me try copy and pasting the link in the chat. Will it let me do that, or am I going to get banned from my own channel?
Well, I've got it open. You should be able to do it.
Yeah, there we go. It's in.
There you go.
They didn't
It's the
ban
link.
me, so I think we're okay. Jen says, yes, agree. We have to be better than the enemy. Absolutely. So, yes. I agree with that. So, here's an example of one of the documents. By the way, this is apparently some kind of receipt or record of Lee Harvey Oswald traveling to, what do you say, Helsinki?
Hell's Kitchen?
No, Helsinki. Yeah, discussion between member senior division concerning Oswald's stay in Helsinki. Helsinki trip, USSR consultant. So this is back when he was in Russia. And you can see, I don't know what this chart is. Somebody smarter than me needs to look at this. But yeah, this is something they stamped and tracked. At 900 hours this morning, I talked with Frank Freeberg recently, returned OS Helsinki Re-Warren Commission inquiry concerning the timetable of Oswald's stay in Finland in October in 1959, including his content with the Soviet consultant there. Copy of the commission letter in 25th May 64 and state cable of 22nd May 64 attached. So let's see. So this seems to be in reaction to the Warren Commission inquiry, which makes me a little suspicious. But it goes on like that. You've got a lot of different documents. Let's see if we can pull up another one here. So we'll close that. And let's just pull up another one at random. You got another timetable here. So this is some Russian individual. Yeah. On one Roman Fredrovich Didkov, born 28 March 1927 in Oransk, USSR, and his wife, Velasa Nikolvania Dedkov, born 31st December 1930 in Minsk, USSR, were listed as applicants for entry visas to India sometime prior to April 1962. And so, yes, bunch of great stuff. Jin's like, we can look it up. And she's like, damn, that handwriting is shit. I agree. It's not great. Okay, so to go along with my point about empiricism, though, and why empiricism is a crappy worldview, let's listen to Glenn Beck and what he took from this. Because after everything I've heard this week, I'm like, oh yeah, the CIA freaking killed him. Like, there's no question. No question in my mind at any rate. That CIA was involved and that our government is actively has the power to kill presidents. Unelected officials have the ability to kill your elected president if they want to. That's not incompetence. That's malice. But let's look at what Glenn Beck has said. And I like Glenn Beck. I need to preface this by saying, if it wasn't for Glenn Beck, I never would have read the Federalist Papers. I never would have read anything from the founders. Like, he was a big influence for me, especially in 2010. So I have a lot of good things to say about Beck. Boy, he got on my nerves with this. If this is the right video, I'm assuming it is. So, let's take a look.
Wait, why would we listen to him if he got on your nerves?
Because I want to demonstrate how even in light of all these facts, people are still going, oh, the government's just incompetent. They're just stupid. And I'm like, no, they're not stupid. They're evil. But even in light of everything that we've learned, people are still saying incompetence. And they will go to their grave saying incompetence.
They're stupidly evil.
Yes, they are stupidly evil.
Because I'm going out to a shooting range because we have the only gun that we know of that is an exact copy of the gun Oswald used to kill President Kennedy, because it's a real weird hodgepodge of guns. It was the one that killed Kennedy. Has a different scope on it. Very rare, very hard to find. I think might even be a Russian scope. I can't remember. The scope is from someplace. There's parts of this gun that are from someplace else. And so, we wanted to get, because we don't have the real gun, we wanted to get one just like it. It took us 2 years to assemble this gun and to find all of the parts. So it's an exact copy of it. I'm going out to a shooting range today, and we're going to do our first test. I've got some sharpshooters with me. and we'll post some of this on X as we do it live today. But then you'll be able to see all of it because we're going to another shooting range hopefully next week to get moving targets to see if they can make these shots. But it should be interesting. Today you can watch for it on X, and then that'll be next week as we go through everything that has been released on the JFK files, because it's going to take us a while. Anybody who says, they don't have any idea. 80,000 documents are being released. So you know, Jason is here. He's our chief researcher for the TV show. 80,000 documents. How long would that have taken us to go through for the staff? What do we have, 8 people on it right now?
Yeah.
How long, without Grok or AI assist, how long would that take us?
We'd still be basically taping our eyelids open and
Right.
still staring at it. We wouldn't even be close to attempting to be even, like a quarter of the way through it.
Okay. So yesterday, describe the process. What happened?
So they started releasing the documents. Well, I thought they were going to be delayed, but they finally started coming through around like 5 or 6 Central, something like that. So we immediately went to work. Initially, there was 113 pages of these documents, but on each different page, there was about 10 PDFs per page. And those PDFs had multiple pages within the PDFs.
Right.
So all in all, it was probably around 12 to 1,300 pages of stuff. Wow. It was insane. But to go through this now and the modern age, all we have to do is go through, download each little different PDF, and start feeding that into whatever artificial intelligence program that you want to use.
Right.
And then if you know the right prompts, you can start looking for things that are relevant, things that are new, things that contradict old disclosures. It was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. So you know.
Okay, can I just
He's a Star
stop
Wars
and
fan.
comment? Can I just stop and comment about how stupid that is? Like, that is
How so?
so because AI is not that good. It's not that freaking good. Jen made the point that handwriting is shit. Yes, and because it's shit, the computer isn't going to be able to read it.
Not properly, anyways.
Yeah, it isn't going to be able to read it properly. So you're going to miss all sorts of facts and details if you're, relying on AI. Like, that's absurd. That's absurd. And so it is just so, like, I understand that nobody wants to go through 30,000 documents, but that is just patently stupid. You are going to miss stuff if you're relying on those goofy computers. Like, I've done research like that for my job where you're scanning PDFs, and I know from personal experience that those computers miss words all the time. Like,
Yep.
There's no way that would possibly work. So I just want to point that out. Don't do that. But anyway, you want to read some of these comments, Mr.
What
Trevor?
Jess said.
Starting where we left off.
Let's see. We can look it up. It is scary. What are they truly hiding, says Jen, or suppressing? And then Jessica Lambert says, USSR tracked everything back then, but sometimes records were lost if the government didn't want them to get out. So this is interesting because they either didn't think it was important or they were or are the masters of the long espionage game. And then Jen says, someone will for sure. And then Jess says, AI degrades if you put too much info in at one time.
Yeah, it scrambles the information. Scrambles stuff so that you can't use it. So this is a terrible idea. I just, AI is just so stinking hyped. It is so stinking hyped up by everybody, but it can't do that much. It just, I could go on. It's just I'm gonna go on a rabbit trail if I keep going. So we're just gonna keep playing this.
We are, one of the things that is very important to me is the ethics of using AI. And I don't know if a lot of people even care about it, but I do, and my staff does deeply. We've had really heartfelt, round after round of what's ethical, what's not ethical. So we are not AI powered. Our research team is not AI powered. It is powered by people who use AI, and there's a big difference in that. as you will start to see as days go by and more people just use AI to do all their thinking. We use it as a tool to go through to be able to do things we just couldn't do before. 80,000 documents, as you said, it's 1,200 documents last night. 80,000 will take us forever. Just the 1,200 that we went through that was the first batch would have taken us weeks to go through. Yeah. So it's a very big help, but we also then go back and check everything.
Drowning in
Hey,
influence
look,
of
an
marketing
ad.
chaos. Not sure where to
Ooh,
begin.
I like
At
ads.
Popular Page, we have over 100.
A lot of people don't know that I'm a painter and I need you to do 5
Ads add to the AI BS.
So Relief Factor, that's his sponsor, Relief Factor.
So let me go
What
through.
do they relieve?
Jen says LOL, and then she says that's sad people use it to think. Yeah, because it's like they don't know what they're looking for. Because obviously, like what we're saying, the CIA is going to delete anything that's too much of a smoking gun. They're still scared to have these documents released, though, because it shows how they operate. Like it reveals something. We don't know exactly what. And again, we're not reasonably expecting a smoking gun here. They would have destroyed that. But it is going to give us some idea how they operate. But we don't know what that looks like. So, you have to actually read it because the computer only knows to look for what you want to look for as a presupposition. But if we have no idea what we're looking for, then we need to go through it ourselves and see if anything actually pops out at us. But how would you do that? How would you program an AI to look for signs that the CIA assassinated JFK? What do you type into ChatGPT? Give me proof from these 30,000 documents the CIA ordered JFK killed. Like, obviously that's not going to work. So you need people to actually look for hints and start putting pieces together. So AI is not going to be any good for that. That requires deductive reasoning. AI is a probability generator. It's not going to deductively reason anything.
Yeah. Jen said, no, it seems like they ask it how to think today. Some people are that weak on this earth.
Yeah. Well, they don't like to think. Some people just don't want to, I guess.
I like to think backwards.
That sounds horribly confusing.
Or confusing horribly.
Yes. So you talk like
Yes.
Yoda in your mind?
No.
This podcast is grueling, it is. So
Yoda talks like me in his mind.
Right, okay. All right.
Some of
It's
the
like-
things that I know.
It's just like AI is actually IA.
AI is actually IA. That
Sorry.
sounds horrible.
Intelligence artificial.
Okay.
That were found yesterday. You tell me also anything that I'm missing here on what was found. But there's a couple of things. One document is a memo on a release passage from a political magazine, Ramparts, from 1967, about an intelligence agency, a CIA informant, and former U.S. Army Captain John Garrett Underhill.
Garrett
And he
Underhill.
wrote,
Garrett,
the day
not
after
Gary.
the assassination. I'm sorry. The story wrote the day after the assassination. Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry.
Or
Late
Gary.
in the evening, he showed up at the home of a friend in New Jersey. He was very agitated. The passage starts: a small clique within the U.S. was responsible for the assassination. He confided to his friend. He would be afraid. He was afraid for his life, and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, he was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. Coroner ruled it a suicide. The note was known, what was said on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. The passage has been shared last night over and over again. That's probably one of the bigger passages that came out, that was shared on X and everything else. But as people were like, it's already been released. Yeah, but we didn't actually have the document. Another document that was making the rounds One line in the document stated that the KGB watched Oswald closely while he was in the USSR, but files indicated that Oswald was a poor shot when he tried target practice in the Soviet Union. Another detail released was a letter sent by a man in 1978. He was a Soviet, and he made this comment to the British Embassy. He claimed that he was detained in London on July 18, 1963, and questioned by authorities. He said that he told them about Lee Harvey Oswald, saying he planned to kill the president. He added that he warned American Vice Consul Tom Blackshear of the plans of Oswald, who was trying to defect to Russia. Okay, so that's kind of a big deal. But what does that say to you? So far, that just says, now hang on, if you're driving, I shouldn't say. I'm going to give you time to pull over, because this is going to be a shock to you. You pull over? Okay.
Shocker.
What it says is our government is incompetent. I know.
That's the line I wanted to get to. Like,
Oh, boy.
wait, what? The guy's in Russia. We know that his general says he was pulled out by the CIA.
Wait, what did he say?
He said
I
our
missed-
government's incompetent. Gary Underhill is killed after saying that there is a clique that is trying to kill the president, and then he gets murdered. He says Lee Harvey Oswald is a poor shot and is demonstrated by the fact that he shot poorly in Russia. We know that Oswald was pulled out by the general in the CIA. We know, and worked for the CIA. Like, we know all these facts, and that Kennedy was repeatedly warned that he was going to be killed. That the government, that there were people saying, "Hey, Oswald's going to kill Kennedy. Oswald's going to." They knew the man by name.
So let's have a parade.
And yet, the conclusion we draw from that, oh, they're just stupid. No. It was a plan by the Fed. The Fed was in on it. It's not stupidity. I don't know how in the world you look at all those facts and go, oh, well, they're just stupid. Did they kill Gary Underhill because they're stupid? Or are we just going to say that those 12 bullets to the back of the head were just unrelated in an accident?
Maybe they were stupidly unrelated.
Yeah, it was just a stupid coincidence. I don't know. Just how people can look at those kinds of data points and make that kind of inference just astonishes me. I like Beck. I really do. But this just die-hard commitment to our government is incompetent, not evil. This is why things have gotten as bad as they've gotten. Because these people do these evil things and then go, oops. And then there are other people going, well, I guess they're just stupid. It's like, no, this is a toddler breaking the lamp and telling you it was an accident when really the toddler is mad that he got grounded.
Jess says stupid like a fox.
Exactly, stupid like a fox. Jen says maybe he's a gatekeeper. I
Glenn
don't.
Beck?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a gatekeeper. I think it's either a cultural thing or a generational thing. I think there's just this attitude of trust the science, trust the institutions, trust the people in charge, because I don't know, we just have this weird reliance on experts.
Yeah.
And we don't want
Cody-
to admit that experts lie.
Cody's on his way.
Well, excellent. It'd be great to hear from good old Cody. Now I feel like we need to prolong this. I hope Cody has thoughts, because I have thoughts. But I mean, am I crazy? I'm sitting here going, there's no way. There's no way that you could reasonably infer that this is an accident.
Yeah, you are crazy in your own right, but so am I.
Okay. Well, then maybe, I don't know, maybe we're just talking nonsense. Jen says, oh, trust what you're told. That's right. Trust the science. Trust the science.
Trust the gatekeeping science.
Masks will work. Vaccine will save you. I can't do that Fauci voice for very long. That's hard on the throat, man.
Wait, who's Fauci?
Even Fauci. Oh, the guy that's another thing that drove me nuts. Okay, you remember Fauci, right? Do you not know who he is?
No, I'm just trying to forget who he is.
Oh yeah, it was tragic. I'm mainly going on a tirade because I'm killing time until Cody gets here, because I am curious about his thoughts on this. But I'm like, The moment I saw Fauci, the second he came up on that platform when all this COVID stuff was going down, I mean the second, Trevor, I was like, that dude is a little Satan. Where did he, what rock did he crawl out from under? And how did he get Trump's ear? Later learned he got Trump's ear through Pence, because Pence was a turncoat. But anyway. But I mean, the guy, obviously, he sounds like an Italian gangster. I mean, can you not get a more, like, vaudevillian bad guy? Like, you couldn't get a more vaudevillian bad guy if you tried. And yet, people believed the guy.
And a lot of people didn't do any research on him.
Yeah.
They just was like, oh, we can believe this guy.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm like, what in the world compels you people to believe in somebody like that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Blaming the role of the AIDS, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, so Jen says I blame him in the role of AIDS. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think he tried to do the same thing with the vaccine that, what was it, Ozempic? That I think like his attempt with Ozempic and vaccine were similar somehow. I forget the details, but bottom line is he sent everybody a shot that could kill them, but we're supposed to trust the science. This is what trusting the experts get to. And I would maintain that Beck's attitude about this is incompetence, this is stupidity, this is people not knowing what to do, like that is how we got here. Just assuming these people are dumb instead of assuming that they're bad, they're evil. And was it Benny Johnson has a way of putting it, like, what does he call it? Was it complicity, or like basically there comes a point where stupidity and being complicit in a bad deed, as it were, they're interchangeable.
Complacency.
Well, complicit, like to be involved in a scheme. To be involved in a conspiracy, to be complicit in a conspiracy is the same thing as like being just stupid and missing it. There comes a point where mistakes and complicit become the same word. I'm screwing up the term, but...
I was wondering, Jess said Siri's voice was worse, and then she changed it to Soros.
Oh, yeah, Soros.
Dang autograph.
Yeah, Soros sounds like a gremlin. Like, I'm going to... put all these prosecutors in Dallas, I was a Nazi. It's like, good night. These people are cartoon characters. Where do they? It's just like red flashing lights. These are bad people. They're manifesting the demons that indwell them. And Beck is like, oh, it's incompetence. I just get blown away by it. I really do. But I'm kicking a dead horse now, so. Let's move on to Benny Johnson talking to Mike Benz really quick on this, and hopefully Cody will be here before we wrap her up.
Wrap it up.
Mike,
wrap it up.
Is it like Christmas morning for you at this point? Let's just begin there.
We are bad people.
It's a new day in America, and it feels something like a Christmas morning. I think you did an amazing job teeing this up. There's really by describing it as a fake world, I've been using this phrase USAID Truman Show about the USAID debacle that's been unfolding over the past several months. And I've been trying to stress that USAID is the continuation of CIA work, and that after the CIA got in trouble in the 1960s and 70s, and had to go through these reforms, they moved the operational layer of the CIA substantially into USAID. You have in these papers the direct. You see this phrase "agency sponsored" time and time again, and these were all largely redacted. They'll reference some group, the Hungarian Freedom Fighters, or some research center in Houston, Texas, and then there'll be brackets. There were brackets up until for the past 50 years. And now we see the brackets visible, and it'll say, and they're agency sponsored. At the time, that meant Central Intelligence Agency. Now, by and large, that means the U.S. Agency for International Development. And it's simply done as a democracy promotion program rather than a covert action program that has to be authorized by the White House. And if I can just point out a few things up top that I find so fascinating about these documents, is really there's I'm less interested as I am in the JFK assassination. I had no expectations of finding some singular smoking gun within the agency's own files that said, well, we did it. Um, but what you see is just an incredible trove of structuring and internal deliberation documents that live on today because the institutions that are named and the dynamics that they were dealing with are infused in like the current dramas that we're currently
I'm a big fan of Benny Johnson as well.
So, for example, there's this 15-page Arthur Schlesinger memo that's a lot of folks are talking about, and I too find it incredibly fascinating. And it's called CIA Reorganization. And even that name, when you, again, as we've talked about so many times, in today's context, when it's too dirty for the CIA, it's done by USAID, and USAID is going through a reorganization. There has been an incredible push and pull drama that's been playing out over this as the White House has been trying to shut USAID down. And then the courts just this very
Is
week
that Cody?
said, actually,
Hang
you
on a
can't
minute
shut
here.
it down.
Yep.
You have to
Gotta switch everything over because, I have yet to figure out how to make this transition smooth. It's quite embarrassing on my part. But anyway.
Transitional.
Gentlemen,
Okay. Well, hello, good
How?
sir.
how are we?
How?
How are you?
I'm well.
You're well?
I'm well. I'm late. Very late.
That's
it
all
is
right,
well with
man.
your soul.
That's all right. I'm trying to fix.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. I'm trying to fix our thing. You got to bear with me here. So,
Roar.
It's unbearable.
all right, let's switch that over for a second. All right. Well, are you caught up? Do you know where we're at, sir? Or do we need to break down what's going on?
I kind of caught a little bit of the Glenn Beck thing at the very end. I heard you making fun of Fauci, and I found it hypocritical because you like RFK and his voice is messed up too.
You know what? You're right. I shouldn't make fun of people's voices. But hey, cut me some slack.
But I
man. He
actually
does
agree with you
sound-
judging people based on their voice. but
Oh, so you were.
I don't like RFK or Fauci.
I don't know what you're getting at, though. So am I a
We
villain
don't like
for
anybody.
judging him, or am I a hypocrite?
Well, you think RFK is good, but he has a messed up voice as well as Fauci.
My
so.
point was, though, like, archetypally speaking, Fauci sounds like a gangster. Like, he
And
literally
RFK sounds like he has a brain worm.
That's not an archetype. That's a victim, Cody.
Gangster, read all about it.
Those are not the same things at all. But anyway. No, so you're pretty well caught up. I was just ranting about how we've got all these facts out.
So what was the contention? Like, who believed what about? Who is Glenn Beck defending Fauci like he didn't know what he did or something?
No, Glenn Beck is saying that in light of everything that we've discovered, he still thinks the government is just incompetent. And I was going, how? How can you possibly believe that this was incompetence after everything that we've seen?
Yeah.
Like, it just drives me insane. Like, and I like Beck. Like I was telling Trevor, I never would have read the Federalist Papers. I never would have gotten into, like, reading firsthand sources in history if it wasn't for Beck. He was very influential to me, but this drives me nuts. I don't know how in the world you still believe in government incompetence after everything that we've seen. It just astonishes me. Absolutely astonishes me.
Yeah.
And that was my broader point, which I think you'll be very interested in the next subject. But my broader point on this is that empiricism is crap because it doesn't seem to matter what data points you get. People still just dig down to, and double down on their own positions because we aren't really interested in facts. We're interested in our worldviews and defending our worldviews. And so it doesn't matter what data points come out. That's kind of been the running theme that I'm trying to construct the show around tonight. So anyway, right now we are watching Benny Johnson and Mike Benz talk about these files. And we're not going to go over the whole thing, but I haven't exactly found a good stopping point yet. So we'll just see how this goes. So, actually, I need to adjust your window really quick before we.
All right, while you do that, I'm gonna let this cat out because he won't stop yelling at me.
Go for it.
Keep spending $44 billion of U.S. taxpayer money in foreign countries. The president can't stop it, even though the president set it up. Which president? It was JFK. JFK set it up in 1961, set up USAID, and actually maybe there are two things that are related on this topic. There's this Arthur Schlesinger memo.
Hey, he looks like our scene.
Yeah, this one, CIA reorganization. And if you
I'm not completely incompetent at this
there's
OBS
a passage
thing.
in there that's called Confidential American Sources. And what Schlesinger goes over is how the CIA is supposed to answer to the State Department. The State Department's supposed to be the big Mac Daddy when it comes to foreign policy, and all these different spindle groups like the CIA, like Voice of America, like what would come to be USAID, are supposed to be, they're supposed to answer to state. State is supposed to have review and approval authority. And the CIA is supposed to provide covert assistance. And what Schlesinger says in this memo is that we need to reorganize the CIA because they effectively are dominating many aspects of foreign policy, that they're supposed to be receiving our instructions. Instead, they're pursuing their own foreign policy, and we end up just rubber stamping everything with very little transparency into what's going on there. Note that that's the same thing that Senator Joni Ernst complained to Elon Musk about on a live X space, that the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, was never able to get access to what USAID was really doing. We saw the Obama administration complain about that with the Zunzaneo fake Cuban Twitter affair that evidently happened without presidential or White House approval. We saw that happen with the State Department complaining that they had little effective oversight over USAID. And what you see in this document is they actually go through the specific structure through which the CIA is able to end run the State Department. And they talk about how the CIA abused State Department cover constantly. It's if you go down, I think it's section 3, if you can pull it up. It's a section right below this. It's section 3 called The Controlled American Sources. I think it should just be on the next page if you pull it up on screen.
We're getting it. Yep.
Yep. And what they go over is, a lot of people have accused me of being CIA because I had this tenure at State, and the most common cover for CIA is State. State is by far and away the most common. State Department attaché is sort of like a CIA meme. And yes, so starting there, this whole section, it says the controlled American sources represent a particular aspect of CIA's encroachment on policymaking functions. CIA and there's a deceptive subtlety to this phrase policymaking functions right there at the bottom. This is super important because the president is supposed to set foreign policy and if there's a rogue cell that's using American taxpayer dollars, American direct personnel or informants or agents or networks to carry out a foreign policy that's in opposition to what the president wants, that is a massive impact on world affairs. You can imagine, for example, if Trump wants peace in Ukraine, but there's a rogue cell out of the U.S. Embassy in Kiev that does not want peace in Ukraine, and they operationalize the network that is supposed to be instrumentalized by the U.S. president and its policy-making function, then world history plays out in a completely different manner. And so what it says is, right, the encroachment on policy-making functions. CIA today has nearly as many people under official cover overseas at State, 3,900 to 3,700. About 1,500 of them are under State Department cover. Now, I knew that there was this massive overrepresentation of cover under State Department cloak. I didn't have the specific numbers until 2 days ago. Roughly half of all CIA agents undercover overseas are under State Department cover, and then the other 2,200 are either under military or non-state cover. Non-state will mean through At that point, it would be the NGOs, the universities, commercial cover is a big one. But it says originally the use of State Department cover for CI personnel was supposed to be strictly limited and temporary. This is fascinating to see, by the way, that this was 1961. They were already complaining. The pinned video at the top of my X feed goes through this State Department CIA, creation in 1948. But to see that only 13 years later, the State Department was openly complaining that the Frankenstein monster they'd created had already, effectively usurped so much of that function. But
Okay, so we're going to stop there. So instead of there just being spies in the federal government, it's really invasion of the body snatchers. These people are everywhere, and it could be anybody who's a spy at any given point in time. Just like the KGB, by the way. You didn't know who was an informant and who wasn't. But anyhow. And I guess the takeaway is, in both the instances of Gary Underhill, which Glenn Beck brought up, and in this situation where you literally have the report saying that the CIA's gone rogue, in both instances, you have like a hostile actor, and yet Glenn Beck is saying incompetence. That's two different instances that clearly show that we have bad actors in our government, and he still wants to say, no, it's just stupid people. That was my point. Yep. And blood is shooting out of my eyes. I don't understand. It's like that faction of the conservative movement is why we are in this mess. I like Glenn Beck, but people have got to stop assuming stupidity. It's not stupidity. Yep. These are bad actors. So.
Yep, I agree.
Anyway, so
when you assume stupidity, man, like there's so many things you overlook.
Yeah.
There's so many, like you just willfully ignore. It's like
yeah.
Like I don't want to name anything, but there's a lot of initials SH. Does that mean anything to you?
Mm-mm. Oh, wait. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, like, you assume that those aren't actors. It's just, like, stupid people or whatever.
Well, I will say...
You miss a lot of things that are just blatantly obvious.
Yeah. Well, Alex Jones talks a lot about creepy stuff with that, but we can't go too far into that. But anyway.
Right.
So, I'm going to read... Jen's comments here, but I'm not sure what she's referring to. Let's see. The one with the wagging tail, that's Jessica asking a question. Jen says, LMFAO, I'm sorry, but Hat Man got lucky. I don't know what that's referring to. And then she says, he got to bang the hottest chick of the day and get away with it. I also don't know what that's referring to. And then Jess asks... Controlled opposition.
I'm the only one with a hat, so why Trevor has a hat too. Never mind.
Yeah, there's like two people with hats, so I'm confused on that. But anyway,
I mean, I was pretty sure I had it figured out when she said banging the hottest chick of the day because my wife's super hot. So,
well, there you go.
There you go.
We'll run with that. So,
right, what else did you say?
Jessica, so Jen confirms that's what she was getting at, that, and then she starts laughing. So, and then Jessica Lambert says, controlled opposition or hopefully naive. I think Beck is hopefully naive. I do think there is some controlled opposition, but I think Beck is just naive. I think if you followed Beck since 2010, there has been kind of this... He's like been in the world of Alex Jones and uncovering a lot of the same things Alex Jones has uncovered, but he is refusing to go as far as Alex Jones will go with it. And he's always resorting back to, well, these people are stupid. They don't know any better and all this.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It wasn't their fault. Their dad was mean to them.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, it's just... But honestly, there's just comfort in saying it's stupidity. Like, just as a kid... Like, just having a kid, I mean... Huh?
Like, when you say it's just stupidity, like, it doesn't require any more intellect out of you. You don't have to look past anything else. Like, you just...
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's just stupid.
Well, more to the point, you don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if it's just stupid people, you don't have to fix it. But if the CIA is trafficking kids on purpose, you might need to do something about that, and that's a little too uncomfortable. So, because the question becomes, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
You know, do you just sit back and let people do stuff like that?
Yeah, well, it's all individual. Protect your children.
Well, yeah, but there's a suggestion of a moral imperative that we might need to do something, and I don't think people are quite willing to go there. So it's just easier to say, "Oh, they're stupid. They're just stupid," you know. And this
Yeah.
like it's not systemic. Like the bad actors are just like these random pockets of people, and it's not a systemic issue. But what these documents show is it is a systemic issue. This is blackmail, trafficking, be it drugs or people, is fundamental. Like it's it's integral to the CIA itself.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And that might require us to do something about them. Might get rid of them. But anyway. Anyway, Jen says
Hey, is go ahead.
let me read the comments and then
got a
you
question
finish
right
your thoughts. So LMFAO. No, Kennedy got to bang Marilyn Monroe. So he's referring to Happy Birthday, Mr. President. That she's referring to Happy Birthday, Mr. President, that thing. So, okay. And then Jessica Lambert says, yeah, labeling something stupid just dismisses it. Exactly. It was Dave Chappelle actually had a great comment on this when he was on Inside the Actors Studio years ago. He said, you don't label something crazy. You should never call something crazy because it's dismissive. And I've always thought that's a wonderful quote. I don't think I liked anything else Dave Chappelle ever did, but I really liked that quote. So, and then Jen says, and then...
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle. Great.
What?
I just said Dave Chappelle's great.
Yeah, okay. And then Jen says, and then many, many years later, Kennedy go head to head with Hillary. All of a sudden, his plane he's in a plane crash. Yeah, then there was another Kennedy. Who was that? There was a Kennedy killed in a plane crash. There's like 3 Kennedys that died under mysterious circumstances. So,
All of them.
yeah. So, all right.
So does Crowder work for the company that Beck runs?
He used
Is that
to.
right?
He used to, but they had a bad falling
okay.
out. Yeah.
So Alex Stein also worked for Glenn Beck. And
Blaze.
Oh, did he
Blaze.
leave? I was
the
under the
Blaze.
impression he still worked for Glenn Beck, Alex Stein.
Well, I haven't. This is an old story. Like I haven't even heard about this in forever. I just because Glenn Beck, it made me think of it. So Owen Benjamin, and I honestly I barely listen to him anymore. But the story, like whenever I hear Glenn Beck, this is the first thing I think of. So Owen was gonna get on Alex Stein's show, right? Mm-hmm. And Glenn Beck blackballed it. He said no, because he's gonna call Steven Crowder gay. That's hilarious.
But we're freedom of speech, Cody. We're all about freedom of speech. You just can't call anybody gay.
Then that's not freedom of speech.
I know.
What?
I'm mocking the like that traditional conservative position.
Okay.
You know, they're always screaming about freedom of speech, unless you sign an NDA, and then you don't have it anymore.
Yep.
So it's just ridiculous. Anyway,
Cool.
Cody has an echo. Okay, all right. Let me fix that really quick because I bet you.
I noticed there's a delay.
I hope there isn't a delay. Are we lagging on the? Somebody in the chat, can you please answer whether or not we're lagging?
It's taken a minute for you to hear me.
Okay, let me do something.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll fix the
Cody.
echo. I hate that. Because it's weird because whenever it's just me and Trevor, the echo isn't there. But whenever it's 3 people and more, then you start getting an echo. I don't know why. So
Interesting.
I hate OBS, but I don't want to spend the money for something else. And it's not
Can't
even that.
spell OBS without BS.
Well, there you go.
Problem solved.
I guess maybe it'd be more accurate to say I'm just lazy. I don't want to relearn another program. That's why I haven't stopped using Adobe. Like I hate Adobe products with a fiery passion, but it took me 2 years to learn how to video edit with Adobe and use all the different stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to spend 2 years learning another program. So I'm stuck with this awful corporation. But anyway,
Have you been over the Kennedy assassination thing yet?
yeah, we just got done covering that. That was
Okay. Well, I saw something interesting. I don't know if you guys covered this or not, but the 263, 273 thing. I might be getting those numbers wrong.
I'll be
So there
right
was
back.
like an order. Let me grab my phone. Hang on.
okay. Yeah, pull it up, and we'll end on this note. All right, let's see. Trevor, can you catch us up on the comments, please? Oh, he's gone. Okay, hang on. Trevor, welcome
Okay, so-
back. Could you catch
Hold
us
on.
on the comments really quick while Cody looks this up?
Let's see. Yeah, labeling something. Jess said, yeah, labeling something stupid just dismisses it, or someone. Jen said Junior. Jess said JFK Jr. Cody has an echo, and this was way back then. I'm not noticing. LOL. War is peace.
And then
Jess said OBS.
Yeah.
And then Jen said, what's the next topic?
okay, Cody's going to give us some interesting numerical stuff on JFK, and then we're going to go into pillars under the pyramids.
I will be right back.
All right,
Okay.
great.
So in 1964 was INSAM 273. Okay, and LBJ put this in, and it was the central object of the U.S. to assist the people and government of South Vietnam to win their contest against the externally directed and supported communist conspiracy. And then, so Kennedy was assassinated in 64, right?
I thought it was 63.
Oh, okay. So right before this. So to me, it seems like Kennedy was trying to stop what LBJ was doing. LBJ was working for probably the pharmaceutical companies because, Vietnam was about opium. So they did that. They were trying to support the Vietnamese people against a communist conspiracy. And then in 65, there was INSAM 263, changes to be accomplished by the government of South Vietnam to improve its military performance, training program for Vietnamese so that essential functions can be carried out by the Vietnamese by the end of 1965. And then they blanket bombed everybody. So they trained their military, then started fighting them.
Because war is an embezzlement racket for these people.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Kennedy was trying to stop that. And LBJ, had to get rid of him and then go so they could do Vietnam and get all the opium for the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, there was a lot of factors going on. You had the Vietnam War, Kennedy was wanting us to get out of. Kennedy wanted to destroy the CIA, which is what they were referring to, that memo that Benz and Benny Johnson were talking about. That was the memo Kennedy got to convince Kennedy to get rid of the CIA. And then you had something to do with the mob. I don't know what that was about. And so you had basically, and then LBJ was under investigation. If you remember the recording that when Jeremiah was here, I played for you guys, where they're talking back and forth about why LBJ had Kennedy killed. Well, it's because LBJ was he was about to go to jail. And so his back was against the wall, and he decided to basically make a deal with the CIA. But it was incompetence. See,
It's crazy,
it's
man.
incompetence.
Because like the Kennedy, that was a mob family. It's
I've heard that. Now,
Yeah.
Michael Franzese says that the mob helped him win in Chicago, and they expected certain deals because they won. And then I guess maybe Kennedy reneged on the deal or something like that, and so the mob was mad at him. And if I understand Franzese correctly, the CIA went to the mob and was like, we want you in on this. And the mob, basically one of the potentially four gunmen that were there was like, okay. So one of them was like a mob guy. Then there's like two, like one of them was a mob guy, and then LBJ hired another guy. And there were multiple shooters there, but ironically, Lee Harvey Oswald was not one of them because he didn't have powder burns on his hands and shirt. So, and he was screaming, I'm a patsy the whole time. So,
sounds like he might have been a patsy.
possibly. Good night. Okay.
The old Stephen Paddock version 1.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, Trevor, do you want to read the last of these, or do you want me to read them? And then we need to wrap up and go to, pillars under pyramids.
Did you read Jess's War is Peace?
Jess's War is Peace.
Okay.
I'm lost. Okay.
I'll start
okay.
there.
Yeah, start there. Go.
She said War is Peace, OBS. And then Jen said, "What's the next topic?"
Yeah, which we
That's
answered.
where we're at. Yes, I knew you was. I didn't want to ask you to do it if it was something you were gonna do another time. Just said 1963. And then Jen said, then the UFO crash and the Cuba missile thing. And then Jess said, which UFO crash? Roswell was in 1947. And then Jen said, thought there was one in 1964. And then Jess said,
Oh,
Cuban
okay.
Missile Crisis in 1962. Jen said, 2 dead bodies, 1 wounded, other very much alive. And then Jess said, Lonnie Zamore incident according to Google, but I haven't heard of it before.
Okay, so the Lonnie Zamore incident. We'll have to look that up some other time. But for now, we're wrapping it up. So, because I think we've
Like
explored
Christmas.
this. Wrapping it up like Christmas. So, all right, we're not actually leaving. We're moving on to episode 3. So stick around. We're not done. But just for my editing purposes, guys,
23.
thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.